Good evening, students. We are back again with the regular live lectures for financial management. And today we would be starting with chapter called Management of Working Capital. Yesterday we completed with dividend decisions. If you have any sort of queries in that chapter, again revisionary lectures would be held by the institute. At that time, you can resolve your queries. But for now, in today's session, we would be starting with new chapter called Management of Working Capital. Now, how the flow of this chapter would be, let me explain you. First of all, we will give some time in understanding the meaning of this term, working capital. We'll briefly understand the concept of working capital. Second, we would understand the learning objective from this chapter, the learning outcomes from this chapter, like what different concepts we are going to learn from this chapter. And last but not the least, if time permits, we will try to solve practical problems to the extent possible. Okay? So this would be our flow: understanding the meaning, then understanding the learning objectives, then solving practical problems. Chalo, let's start. Friends, I know that this term is very familiar to you all. What do you mean by working capital? Tell me. Let's first understand the meaning of working capital. What do you mean by working capital? Batao. Yeah, happy evening to all of you. Pranav, this is the formula to calculate working capital. This is the secondary part. First, I want to know that what is the meaning of working capital. How to calculate working capital? You are correct. Current assets less current liabilities. But yes, Deepali is correct. Day-to-day operation of organization. But what day-to-day operation of organization is called business of organization. Funds, yes. Ajay Surya, correct. Capital available for 12 months. Okay, indirectly it is correct. Correct. Capital required for day-to-day business operations. Correct. Sanya, everyone, most of you are correct. Working capital is nothing but funds needed for day-to-day business operations. It is nothing but funds needed to run your day-to-day business operation. Correct. Correct. So to understand this English sentence is very simple. Like brain quickly understand what this phrase says. Working capital is nothing but funds needed to run day-to-day business operation. Correct. But now let me explain you in more detail with the help of a short story. Let's assume today is my birthday. Okay? I stay in Ahmedabad. I conduct lectures from Ahmedabad. I'm based in Ahmedabad. So I decided to throw a birthday bash, to throw a birthday party, and I invited you all at my city. For a birthday party. So I gave you the invitation online, and you all, with the grace of God, you all visited to Ahmedabad. We had decided there is a newly opened restaurant in Ahmedabad. So I gave you the location and all the details that is needed. Now, as soon as we enter the restaurant, you all were completely spellbound by looking at the ambience, by looking at the interior, by looking at the various sittings, sofas, furnitures, by looking at various artistic work, everything. You are spellbound by seeing that. So everything was super awesome. So we all entered the restaurant, we all settled down. Waiter offered us water to drink, and then he gave us the menu card. Now, since it was a birthday bash, so generally in birthday party, everyone orders the most expensive dish, correct? Because you don't have to pay. The sponsorer, the person who is giving the party, has to pay. So you ordered the most expensive dish, or you ordered the most expensive meal of that restaurant. Okay? So जैसे ही we ordered this meal to the waiter, Waiter was like, sir, your total billing amount of the meal that you have ordered comes to rupees 15,000. So you need to first pay this 15,000 and then we can serve you the meal. I was shocked. Like, this is the first restaurant that takes the money first and serves later. So I was completely shocked hearing to this. So I asked, why? Why are you asking money first? I will not run away. I will pay your money. I am a good, gentle human being. I will pay your all the money. So he said, sir, I have trust on you, but sir, the thing is, with this money, once you pay this amount, I will book a cab. I will go to the market to buy all the ingredients that is needed for the meal. I will buy flour, I will buy veggies, I will buy spices, I will buy paneer or all the raw materials, ingredients that is needed for preparing the meal. So I will buy that and in the same cab, I will come again to the restaurant. Then all these ingredients, I will hand it over to chef. We have professional chef, so he charges his professional fees as well. He will not prepare the meal free of cost. He will take his fees, then he will prepare a meal to you. Sir, even I am working as a waiter, but even I am working for some fees. Even I am here to earn something. So I will take my fees and then we will serve you the meal. Did you follow? The story ends here. Did you follow? Did you follow the story? बोलो स्टोरी समझा आपको. द स्टोरी एंड्स हियर. I gave you the birthday party at a restaurant. Everything was super awesome. Interior, ambience, artistic works, sittings, furnitures, everything was super awesome. But waiter asked the money first. Why? So that he can buy the ingredients needed. He can pay the fees to the chef. He can take his own fees for serving and then he served us. Did you follow the example? The example, the crux, the conclusion of the story is restaurant had enough money, for interior designing, for sittings, for furniture, for ambience, for artistic work. So can I say, in other words, restaurant had enough funds for fixed assets. Are you getting this? Restaurant had enough funds for investing in the fixed assets. But the day-to-day business operations of restaurant, that is preparing and serving the meal, for that it did not have enough funds. Are you getting this? And that additional funds for running the day-to-day business is called working capital. Did you follow? That additional funds that restaurant needed to run its basic business operation, it did not have that funds. So that additional funds that restaurant needed is working capital. Hope everyone understood the story. This was just an imaginary example. No restaurant works like this. Okay? This was just to explain you the concept. So that additional fund is working capital. Fixed assets cannot work on its own. सिर्फ फिक्स्ड असेट खरीदने से, जस्ट इन्वेस्टिंग इन फिक्स्ड असेट्स, योर बिजनेस विल नॉट स्टार्ट. You need additional funds for smooth functioning of fixed assets. And that additional funds is called working capital. Another example, let's say I want to start a new manufacturing business. Okay? So to start a new manufacturing business, I have purchased a factory land. Then on that land, I have constructed the factory building. Then all the machineries I have set up inside the factory building. Then I also constructed an office space inside the factory itself. Then all the electrical fittings and all the things are done. So tell me friends, by just investing in all this, my manufacturing business will start? Tell me. Just by buying a factory land, constructing a factory building, setting up the office inside, setting up the machinery, will my manufacturing business start? Obviously not. Fixed assets cannot or can never work on its own. You need to start a manufacturing business, you will need raw materials to put it into the machine. Yes or no? Then you will need some labor who works on this raw material and who works on the production process and some other overheads as well. So the funds that you need for raw materials, labor, overheads, etc. is working capital. Just by investing in the fixed assets, your business never starts. You need additional funds for running day-to-day business operation. Understood? So that is working capital. So if I want to define working capital, can I say definition of working capital is working capital means funds needed to run daily business operations. Correct? Fixed assets can never work on its own. So for smooth running of fixed assets, for smooth functioning of fixed assets, additional capital that is required is called working capital. Additional capital required is called working capital. Okay? This is the meaning of working capital. That the funds that you need to run your daily business operations and fixed assets, just by investing in fixed assets, your business will not run or your business will not start. For smooth running, for smooth functioning of that fixed assets that you have invested, you need additional capital, and that is working capital. Will any confusion, any queries in meaning of working capital? I think even layman can understand this. Any doubts till here? I'm waiting for your response. Okay. So this is meaning of the term working capital. Now let's look at the learning objectives of this chapter. What all concepts we are gonna learn in this chapter, or the learning outcomes of this chapter. Let's understand that. First is we will learn how to estimate the amount of working capital. How to estimate the amount of working capital. We will learn that. It means, in other words, it means how to calculate this amount. We are gonna learn in this chapter. कि working capital business में कितना लगेगा, how much funds for working capital will be needed, how to estimate that, we will learn in this chapter. ठीक है? Second learning objectives. There is a concept called operating cycle. Operating cycle. We will learn that concept as well. It is in consonance with working capital only. So we will learn that. Now, tell me friends, working capital, as you rightly said, to calculate working capital, the formula is current assets less current liabilities. Correct? Correct? So what are the major components of current assets? What are the major components of current asset that is likely seen in all the businesses? Can I say it is debtors? This is generally there in all the businesses. So there is a concept called receivables management that we will see or understand in this chapter. Correct? Another component of current asset is inventories, which is generally found in all the businesses. Okay? So we will understand the concept of inventory management. We will learn the concept of inventory management. Then most, or in fact all the business organization would be having cash bank balance. So there is a concept called cash management that also we will learn in this chapter. On the current liability side, can I say payables are that current liabilities which are found in all the businesses. So we have a concept called payables management. So in short, we are just categorizing the current assets and current liabilities, and we will understand the management of each of the components of current assets and current liabilities. Correct? So these are the learning outcomes. Apart from this, there is one more thing. Once you have determined the working capital amount, let's say once you have determined that my business would need 5 lakh of working capital, the next task is to arrange for that 5 lakhs, is to raise for that 5 lakhs, finance that 5 lakhs, correct? So last but not the least, we will learn financing of working capital. What are the different sources from which working capital will be arranged or from which working capital will be financed? This is more of a theoretical aspect. Last topic is more of a theoretical aspect. Okay? Financing of working capital. See, it is logical now. Once you have determined the amount, how much of working capital is needed, next task is to finance that, take financing decision. So we will learn that as well. Now friends, pay attention over here. Inventory management है ना, there is a chapter in costing called material costing. I hope you have heard the name of this chapter at least. Correct? Yes, EOQ, correct. सबने सुना है. So entire inventory management topic is covered in costing under the chapter material costing. So learning the same thing twice is illogical and waste of time, correct? So from financial management, this topic has been removed. Entire topic you are learning in costing. So inventory management is removed from financial management because it is waste of time of learning the same topic in two separate papers. Okay? So inventory management, entire topic will be in costing. Understood? So the learning outcome of this chapter is, first we will understand how to estimate the working capital, how to estimate the amount of working capital. Second, what is the concept of operating cycle? We will learn that. Third, we will learn the financing of working capital first. Once the amount is estimated, once the amount is determined, we will then understand how will we finance that working capital? What are the different sources of financing that working capital? And after that, we will take each component separately. We will take receivables management, then we will take cash management and payables management. Okay? So we have 4 sessions on this entire chapter. For management of working capital, we have 4 complete sessions. So in 2 sessions, we would be learning. In the first 2 sessions, we would be learning this part. Estimation of working capital and operating cycle and financing of working capital. First 2 sessions. Okay? In our first 2 sessions, we will learn how to estimate working capital, what is the concept of operating cycle, and how will we finance that working capital. In our third session, we will learn about receivables management. Entire session on receivables management means managing your debtors. Cash credit is a way of financing working capital. It is a sources of finance. And in fourth session, in last session, we will learn cash management and payable management. Okay? So this is how I have bifurcated each topics in 4 sessions. Understood? Bolo, any doubts till here? We have completed the meaning and we have briefly understood what are the learning outcomes from this chapter. Bolo, any questions, any queries? Till here? Smooth जा रहा है chapter. This is how you should progress with all the chapters. First, understand the meaning, the core content of that chapter, then the learning outcomes, what concepts are you going to learn from that chapter, and then start with practical problems. So now, first topic is on estimation of working capital. How to determine or how to calculate. Yes, this is the last chapter. How to determine or how to calculate working capital. This is the first topic. And you already know the way to calculate working capital. It is nothing but current assets less current liabilities. Correct? So if we are able to get the value of current assets and if we are able to calculate the value of current liabilities, our job is done. Easily we can calculate working capital. Yes or no? But before understanding how to calculate current assets, we need to first understand the components of current assets. What all line items fall under current assets? Bolo, what are the different components of current assets that are usually seen in all the businesses? बोलो कौन से हो गए? Cash, inventories, debtors, receivables. Correct. Cash, receivables means debtors. Inventory means stock. And some other current assets as well, like prepaid expense or short-term investment. So other current assets. So these are the likely line items of current assets that are usually seen in all the business organization. Yeah, bills receivable is under receivables only. Debtors and bills receivable comes under receivables. Correct. Current investment, correct. Short-term investment. Similarly, what all are the likely line items under current liability that are usually seen in all the businesses? Can I say payables and some outstanding expenses? Expenses that are accrued but not paid? Yes or no? And also there may be some other current liabilities like short-term borrowings. Correct? So, if we are able to calculate, if we learn how to calculate cash and bank balance, if we learn how to calculate receivables, if we learn how to calculate stock, if we learn how to calculate other current assets, then our job of calculating current assets is done. And if we learn how to calculate payables, if we learn how to calculate outstanding expenses, can I say our job to calculate current liability is done and our job of working capital is done in turn? Yes or no? So the entire topic focuses on these aspects. How to calculate cash bank balance, how to calculate receivables, how to calculate inventory, how to calculate payables from various scattered data and facts. ठीक है? समझ रहे हो? Are you getting this, friends? अब एक क्वेश्चन होना चाहिए, सर ये करंट असेट्स एंड करंट लाइबिलिटीज आर ऑलरेडी देयर इन द बैलेंस शीट, तो हमें क्यों कैलकुलेट करना है? इट इज ऑलरेडी देयर इन द बैलेंस शीट. यस और नो? Then why are we calculating? Why are we learning to calculate this? Already balance sheet will give these figures. Then what is the need to understand? ऐसा क्वेश्चन आ रहा है किसी को? Does anyone have this question? The reason is the balance sheet is based on, it is prepared for historical data. जो घटना घट चुकी है, the transactions that have been occurred, it is prepared based on that. Are you getting this? And here we are estimating. Estimation is of future, not of past. Are you getting this? हमें future का estimation करना है. So that's why we need to learn how to calculate future का cash balance, future का receivables, future का inventory balance. Hope everyone understood this. The balance sheet that is already prepared is based, it is prepared for historical data. It is prepared for those transactions that have already been incurred. But here we have to estimate. And is estimation done for past or future? It is always done for future. Yes or no? Correct? And tell me, friends, is future certain ki uncertain? Is future certain ki uncertain? Future is always uncertain. We don't know what will happen in the next second to us. Yes or no? It is very, very uncertain, especially these days. Yes or no? Anyone is launching missiles from anywhere. So it is very uncertain. So whenever there is uncertainty, financial management says the estimation will always be backed with certain assumptions. Okay? Since estimation is done of future and future is uncertain, the estimation part will always be backed with certain assumptions. So even this topic has certain general assumptions. Let's learn what are the general assumptions of this chapter. Okay? Whenever there is uncertainty, now the estimation will always involve or it will always be backed with assumptions. So the assumption number one, very, very important. Huh? This is very, very important. Unless otherwise specified. Unless otherwise specified. All the activities accrue evenly throughout the year. All the activities accrue evenly throughout the year. Now, what do you mean by activities accruing or spreading evenly throughout the year? What do you mean by this? Can anyone try? All the activities accrue evenly throughout the year. What do you mean by this? Can anyone give an attempt, give a try? सोचो थोड़ा, सोचो, think. Yeah, accounts is based on accrual basis, but activities are spread evenly throughout the year. See, this is not about the accounting method that company follows. This is not about that. No valuation are happened. Valuation means? Yes, Shravan is correct. Apportionment throughout the year uniformly. Yes, Shravan is correct. It means, let's say, if my sales for entire year is 12 lakhs, if my sales for entire year is 12 lakhs, so this assumption says that every month your sale would be 1 lakh. Every month your sales would be 1 lakh. This is what this assumption says, that activities are uniformly spread throughout there. Practically, in reality, it may not be possible that every month your sales are same. But with the help of this assumption, yes, because we are estimating the future. We don't know about the uncertainty. So we have to back with assumption. Understood? So if sales is 12 lakh for entire year, then every month it would be 1 lakh. Means Jan mein 1 lakh, Feb mein 1 lakh, March mein 1 lakh, in November also 1 lakh, December also 1 lakh. Understood? If purchase is 6 lakh in the entire year, then it means 50,000 purchase would be every month. This is the assumption. In reality, it may not be correct. Are you getting this? Not just fixed cost, but all the activities, sales, even stock. So if stock is 1 lakh each month, then it will be, let's say if the stock is 1 lakh for Jan end, then in Feb end or at any given point in time, it will be 1 lakh only, because activities accrue evenly throughout the year. It has to be same throughout. Okay? Understood? This is first assumption, but it is unless otherwise specified in the question. Okay? Unless otherwise specified in the question. Second assumption. We would be estimating the working capital requirement for manufacturing businesses. Estimating working capital requirement for those businesses who are into manufacturing industry. ठीक है? All the practical problems in your module is of those businesses which are under manufacturing business. See, institute ka it is very simple logic. The complex part of estimating the working capital is for manufacturing business only. Trading and service, it is very simple. So institute ka logic is, if you are able to learn how to estimate working capital for manufacturing business, then trading and service is very simple. You did not, or you don't need to learn it separately. So that's why all the practical problems are based on the business organizations which are under manufacturing business. Okay? So whenever manufacturing business is there, can I say stock would be of three types? Stock would be of three types. तीन तरह के stock हो गए. One is raw material का stock होगा. There would be some stock of raw material. There would be some stock in process, WIP, and there would be one stock of finished goods. Okay? So whenever manufacturing business is there, stock would be of three types: raw material, RM stock, in process stock, which is nothing but WIP, and FG. Yes, correct. Okay, so this is second general assumption. Third, but not the least, we would be estimating the working capital requirement for the entire year, for the entire next year. See, ideally, what business organizations do, you know? They finance this working capital from banks. Bank provides working capital loans. Bank provides working capital facility. So they don't provide the loans for the entire year ka working capital. Bank will never provide in reality the entire year ka working capital. They provide for say 3 months of working capital requirement, 4 months or max 6 months. But since we are in academics and since we are estimating the requirement of working capital, our assumption would be that working capital calculation or estimation would be for the entire year. Understood? In reality, this may not hold true. Huh? In practical life, it may not hold true. Bank may provide max requirement of your 6 months. Bank may provide finance for your max 6 months working capital required. So in that case, in reality, you have to prepare working capital estimation for 6 months. If bank says I will provide finance for 3 months, then in that case, you have to provide estimation of working capital for 3 months. Okay? But the principle remains same. The technical part remains same. Understood, everyone? Any queries still here? Any queries in assumptions? Bolo. These are the three general assumptions of this chapter, huh? Unless otherwise specified. Any doubts? Any questions? Any concerns? Bolo, yaar. See, in your module, there is no practical problem which has data of 3 months. They have given data for the entire next 1 year. So that's why we are estimating the working capital requirement for entire year. Okay? If data is given for 3 months, then yes, we can calculate for 3 months. It depends on the data and facts provided in the question. Done? Done? See, so what we understood till now is how to calculate. Like what we understood till now is, first we understood the meaning, then we understood the learning objectives, then we briefly discussed about the line items or each component of current assets and liabilities. Then we saw the general assumptions of this chapter. Okay? Now, let's understand the format of estimation of working capital. See, you cannot solve by drawing these branches. We are a student of professional course. So our way of estimation or way of calculation should be in a professional approach or should be in an organized approach. It should be systematically calculated. So हमें करना तो calculate यही है. We have to calculate current assets and current liabilities. But this way is little unorganized and informal. ये generally BCom students do. We are a students of professional course. We are doing a reputed course. So our way of calculation or our method or our format should be organized and professional. So next thing that we are going to learn is format of estimating the working capital. ठीक है? How to calculate working capital? We have a format. You need to understand that format. वो format में है यही current assets less current liabilities है, but it is a systematic and professional and presentable format. ठीक है? So we will follow presentable approach. So next, let's understand the format of estimation of working capital. ठीक है? Let's understand that. This is very important because all the questions for working capital you have to solve by this format only. ठीक है? So heading would be estimation of working capital for X limited. ठीक है? Then particulars, amount and amount. We will prepare vertical statement. We will not bring out that arrows and branches. We will prepare a vertical format. So when I say working capital is nothing but current assets less current liabilities, yes or no? So first part, category A, current assets, ठीक है? And category B, less current liabilities. Funda is this only. You have to subtract current liabilities from current assets. Yes or no? So first we will just write these two terms, current assets less current liabilities. Now you individually write each component of current assets. ठीक है? You individually write each component of current assets. Can I say first component would be stock or inventory? Yes or no? First component would be stock or inventory. Second component would be receivables. See, now we are understanding or we are writing each component of current assets. Third, any cash and bank balance. Fourth, other current assets. Other current assets may be short-term investment or any prepaid expense, anything. ठीक है? So these are the major components of current assets that are usually seen in all the business organizations. So we have just written the components of or the line items of each current assets, of all current assets. Now current liabilities. So current liabilities में again accounts payable. Yes or no? Outstanding expenses. Outstanding expenses. Third, other current liabilities. ठीक है? So these are the general line items of current liabilities that is seen in all the business organization. Now, the total of all current assets, the total of all current assets is called as gross working capital. What it is called? Gross working capital. This may be asked in MCQ as well. Gross working capital is nothing but sum of all the current assets line item. Okay? It is called gross working capital. The current assets less current liabilities is called as excess of current assets over current liabilities. Excess of current assets over current liabilities, which is nothing but A. A is my current assets and less B. B is my current liabilities. Correct? So it is nothing but A minus B. Now, no, it is not called net working capital. Now, why it is not called net working capital? Because we will add some safety margin as well. See, can I say we are estimating the working capital requirement? So our estimation may not always hold 100% true. It may be fluctuating here and there because we are estimating. We don't know the exact, the accurate amount. So for that, we add some safety margin. We add some safety margin or cushion for our estimation. Okay? We add safety margin, and the resultant amount is called as net working capital required. Safety margin is nothing but cushion because estimation may not always hold true or correct. So to keep error of margin, we have added safety margin, and the resultant amount is called net working capital. Understood? Now stop. Since we are estimating the working capital for manufacturing industry, can I say stock would be of three types? One is RM stock, which is nothing but raw material stock. Second, there would be some WIP stock. Yes or no? And third, FG stock. Correct? Correct, friends? Any doubt in this format till now? We are just preparing, or we are just understanding the way to calculate the working capital. And the way is to prepare a vertical format so that it looks systematic, it looks professional, it looks presentable. Bolo, any doubt in this format? Any doubt still here? Clear? It is nothing but just current assets less current liabilities, but in a professional way, in an attractive manner. Okay? Now, very important thing, very important. Can I say WIP? What do you mean by WIP? Full form मत बोलना. इसका मतलब बताना. What do you mean by WIP? बोलो. What do you mean by WIP? Don't tell me the full form. You have just not finished goods. Correct. Not yet completed. Goods that are in process, semi-finished, not ready for sale. Okay, correct. So can I say WIP is nothing but above raw material? It is not in the form of raw material, but also it is not in the form of finished goods. It is something above RM but less than FG. Yes or no? Let's say we are into shirt manufacturing business. So shirt ka structure is manufactured, but buttons are still yet to be stitched, or collars is still yet to be stitched. So can I say that is working WIP? Yes or no? Buttons are yet to be stitched, or collar is yet to be stitched. So it is not in the form of raw material, but it is also not in the form of complete FG stock. Complete FG. So that is WIP. RM and FG. Yes, correct. So can I say WIP mein there would be some RM ka stock involved? Yes or no? WIP mein there would be some raw materials that is in process, and there would be some labors and other overheads that would also be in the process, because उसपे काम चल रहा है, complete नहीं हुआ है. The work is still going on. It is not completed yet. Are you getting this? So WIP में there are further 3 categories because whatever stock is in process, उसमें raw material लगा होगा, raw material would be there, plus labor and overheads would have been worked over there. Hope everyone followed this. So WIP further has 3 components. So this is the format of estimation of working capital. Okay, this is the format. Now our next task is to estimate this amount. Next task is to estimate this amount. From which source we will be able to get our RM stock? From which source of document we will be able to calculate receivables amount? From which source of document we will get this current assets and current liabilities का figure? That is the question now. कि हमने format तो समझ लिया, format क्या है that we understood, but we need to enter some values now. So from which source of document we will get those values? So for that, a trial balance, how will you prepare trial balance for future? From which source? The information is very scattered. The facts and data would be very scattered. आपको trial balance नहीं देंगे question में. All scattered information would be given. So the source of document in this chapter is our cost sheet. What is the source of document? It is our cost sheet. All the data that we need to calculate each line item of working capital will be calculated from cost sheet in this chapter. Cost sheet bolo ya income statement bolo, it is one and the same. How previous year balance sheet hai wo to ghat, transactions are already done. We are not concerned with past transaction. We are estimating the future. So in this chapter, your problem, your practical question will give you scattered and unorganized data. From that data, you need to prepare a cost statement, or I would say an income statement. And from this statement, you will calculate each line item of working capital. Okay? This cost statement or cost sheet is somewhat similar to the cost sheet that you have learned in costing. It is more or less in consonance with cost sheet that you have learned in costing. Okay? So the cost sheet or the cost statement under working capital would start with raw material consumption. Correct? And entire thing would be annually calculated. All the numbers would be annual amount होंगे. Then we will add labor cost, or which is nothing but direct wages. Then we will add factory overheads. The resultant figure here, it is called as cost of production. क्या बोलते हैं? Cost of production. The resultant figure is called as cost of production. In your cost sheet, after cost of production, can I say we used to add opening stock of FG? Add opening stock of FG less. We used to deduct the closing stock of FG. Yes or no? And the resultant figure was COGS. This is what we did or we learned in cost statement in costing. Correct? यही था. But here, unless otherwise specified, opening stock of FG and closing stock of FG would remain same. Why? Because all activities accrue evenly throughout the year. So Jan 1 में, whatever is your closing stock, at any given point in time, you enter the godown, the same amount of stock would be there. This is the general assumption unless otherwise specified. Because all activities accrue evenly throughout the year. This is the general assumption of this chapter. So stock would also remain same whenever you enter your godown, your stock amount would be same. This is the general assumption of this chapter. So when I say opening and closing is same, so my COGS and COP would be same. Yes or no? Let's say if COP is 100, opening stock is 10 and closing stock is also 10. So when I say my COGS would be 100 only. Correct? So here the cost of production would be COGS itself. This is the difference in costing and financial management का cost sheet. ठीक है? After that, we used to add admin overheads which are not related to production. These are other general admin overheads. If admin overheads are related to cost of production, then it would fall here. यहाँ पे आएगा. It would be included in cost of production. But again, if question is not specific whether admin overheads are a part of production or not, we have to take it after cost of production. Are you getting this? We have to assume that admin overheads are general overheads. It is not falling part of production overheads. Okay? So you have to read the question very carefully. Yes, administrative overheads. Admin overheads are administrative overheads. But if those administrative overheads are a part of production, then you have to include that in your COP. Okay? In your cost of production. Understood? But if question does not specify, then always exclude it from cost of production. Then we add selling overheads, selling and distribution overheads. Selling and distribution overheads. So the resultant figure is called as cost of sales. The resultant figure is called as cost of sales. Then we add profit to it, and the resultant figure is sales. So this is the format of cost statement. Yes, correct, Manvi. This is the format of cost statement that we will use to calculate line items of working capital. Okay? Are you understanding? So your raw material ka stock, will always be based on raw material consumption. Your raw material ka stock will always be based on raw material consumption. Your WIP ka stock will always be based on production. And your FG ka stock will always be based on COGS. Okay? This you have learned in ratios chapter also. Inventory turnover ratio, etc. etc. So your FG is always based on cost of goods sold because COGS is cost of finished goods which are sold. Correct? This is cost of goods which are sold. Can I say goods that would be sold would be finished goods only? You cannot sell WIP goods. You cannot sell raw material goods. Correct? So COGS is always based on, FG. FG stock is always based on COGS. Raw material is always again based on raw material consumption, and WIP process is based on production. Understood? So ये आपको back of the mind or in your conscious you have to remember this. Any queries still here in format, students? Bolo, any doubts, any queries in format till now? Once we take some practical problems, once we use some numbers, you will get better clarity. But as of now, any doubts? Yes, WIP. Now, good question. Kasak, I was waiting for someone to ask this. That, sir, WIP is based on cost of production and FG is based on COGS. But both are same over here. Both are same over here. So there is no difference between WIP and FG. This is what Kasak has asked. She has rightly pointed out, he or she, I don't know. He has rightly pointed out that WIP is based on cost of production and FG is based on COGS, but both are same over here. So as far as working capital is concerned, there is no difference between WIP and FG. So now there is a difference. See, now there is a difference. Can I say raw material, labor and overheads? The sum of raw material, labor and overheads. The sum of raw material, labor and overheads. Can you see over here? Is nothing but cost of production. Is nothing but cost of production. And here FG would be based on COGS. Correct? The difference between WIP and FG is in percentage completion. Is in percentage completion. Can I say WIP would not be 100% complete? Yes or no? WIP would not be 100% complete. If it is 100% complete, then that would be FG. Are you getting this? So question would provide you that how much production is complete. Are you getting this? FG is always 100% complete. FG is always 100% complete. But WIP may not be 100% complete. It would be 50%, 80%, 20%. So there lies the difference between WIP and FG. Samjha Kasak? Your question was completely correct. Ki WIP may it is raw material, labor and overhead. The total of raw material, labor and overhead is cost of production. And FG maybe it is COGS, which is nothing but cost of production only. So दोनों का difference कहाँ पे है? Where is the difference between the two? So difference lies here in percentage completion. WIP will not be 100% complete. Question would provide that WIP is 50%, 80%, 60%, whatever the percentage may be. But FG is always 100% complete. Did you get this? So I was good that you raised this point because I was about to come to this point. Okay? Everyone understood WIP is not 100% complete. It would be less than 100%. It may be 80, it may be 90, it may be 10, it may be 20. That question would specify. Okay? But FG definitely it would be 100% complete. Okay? So understood the format of working capital and cost statement. Bolo, any doubts still here? Any questions, any concerns still here? Take your time, take your time. Grasp it and digest it properly. Take your time. देख लो, फॉर्मेट देखना है तो एक बार वापस देख लो. Format is current assets less current liabilities. So first we noted down all the components of current assets. Then we noted down all the components of current liabilities. Since we are calculating working capital for manufacturing business, stock would be of three types. So we noted down three types of stock, which is RM, WIP, WIP and FG. Correct? WIP mein there would be certain raw materials that would have been used, plus labor and overheads would have been incurred. So WIP has further three categories. FG, it is a finished goods, it would be 100% complete. Now to calculate the line items for working capital, to calculate all the line items for working capital, our source document is cost statement, which is similar to your cost sheet under costing. So we saw the format of cost statement as well. Safety margin is cushion. Let's say by estimating the working capital, the amount comes to 6 lakh rupees. Okay? But we don't know exactly 6 lakh we will need or not. It may be something more, it may be something less. So to be on a conservative basis, we will ask bank, okay, our estimation is 6 lakh, but we are keeping a cushion of 10%, that is 60,000. So you provide us the fund of 660, because we don't know exactly 6 lakh will be needed or not, because all the amounts are estimated basis, are calculated on estimated basis. So safety margin is just a cushion to be on a conservative side. Are you getting this? लास्ट में कहा लिखा, स्टॉक में लिखा है ना, देखो स्टॉक इज रोमन 1, उसमें RM स्टॉक इज इन ब्लू, फिर उसके ओ सॉरी लास्ट में लिखा मैंने, इट विल कम ओवर हियर, स्लाइड आई मिस्ड हियर, इट विल कम हियर, WIP स्टॉक एंड FG स्टॉक. इट इज जस्ट दैट आई बाय मिस्टेकली स्किप द स्लाइड. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे आएगा, इट विल फॉल अंडर स्टॉक ओनली. ऑब्जर्वेशन इज गुड, जिसने भी ऑब्जर्व किया, नाइस ऑब्जर्वेशन. इट वॉज जस्ट अ ह्यूमन एरर. Okay, so this is the format. We have also understood the format of cost sheet, which would be our source document for calculating working capital. So we learned that as well. Now our next task is to take some numbers and get better clarity on the concept. Okay? So let's take some numbers and try to estimate the amount of working capital. So please everyone open your module. Management of working capital. It is chapter number 9. Come to page number. See, this is the format. This is the format of working capital. Current assets, उसमें raw material, WIP, FG, receivables, prepaid expense, cash balance, gross working capital. The sum of current assets is called as gross working capital. उसमें से we will deduct current liabilities. So current liabilities includes trades payable, bills payable, outstanding wages, outstanding overheads. The resultant figure is called as excess of current assets less current liabilities. We add safety margin because our calculation, this amount would be on estimated basis. So we need to keep some cushion. What if our estimation goes wrong? What if we need some more capital? So we add some cushion to it and we get net working capital. So let's try to solve illustration number 3. Everyone please open page number 9.25. Illustration number 3. Okay? So you will get better clarity on how to approach working capital ka question. On 1st January, the managing director of Norin Limited wishes to know the amount of working capital that will be required during the coming year. She wants to know the amount of working capital that company will need in the next coming year. From the following information, prepare working capital requirement forecast. So we need to estimate the working capital required. Production during the previous year was 60,000 units. So last year it was 60,000. And company plans that this level of activity would be maintained during the current year as well. So can I say production in current year would also be 60,000? Correct? The expected ratios of cost to selling prices are raw material is 60% of selling price, wages is 10% of selling price, overheads is 20% of selling price. Raw materials are expected to remain in store for average 2 months before issuing to production. Bolo, what do you mean by this? What do you mean by this sentence? Raw materials are expected to be in store, that is in godown, for 2 months before issuing to production. Can I say in other words, this is raw material storage period or holding period. Before we enter the raw material into the machine, we will keep the raw material stock for 2 months. Are you getting this? This is correct. Vaibhav is correct. This is raw material holding period. Storage period. Yes. Not inventory holding, RM holding period. See here, inventory are of three types. You need to be clear which inventory you are talking about. This is RM holding period. Each unit is expected to be in process for 1 month. Can I say this is WIP holding period? Means in progress, my goods would be for 1 month. एक महीना लग रहा है प्रोसेस में, प्रोग्रेस में in the machine. So this is WIP holding period. The raw materials being fed into the pipeline immediately and the labor and overhead cost accruing evenly throughout the month. Finished goods will stay in the warehouse awaiting dispatch to customers for approximately 3 months. Can I say this is nothing but FG holding period? Once the goods are produced, after 3 months, it will be dispatched to the customers. So for 3 months, I am storing that in warehouse. I am holding that finished goods in warehouse. So that is FG holding period. Okay? Credit allowed by creditors is 2 months. Credit allowed to our customers is 3 months. So once you have sold it to debtors, you have sold it to customers, they will pay after a period of 3 months. Selling price is 5 per unit. There is regular production and sales cycle. Wages are paid on the first of each month for the previous month. Wages are paid on the, yes, payable and receivable period. Wages are paid on the first of each month for the previous month. Means, can I say they are outstanding for a period of 1 month? आज जो मैंने कमाया आज के तारीख में the wages that I have earned will be paid in next month. Wages that I have earned on day 2 of the month will again be paid on next month. So on an average, it is getting cleared after the end of 1 month. Are you getting this? So wages and overheads, in short, this is nothing but outstanding wages period. They are outstanding for a period of 1 month. Normally, company keeps cash in hand to the extent of 20,000. So this is nothing but cash bank balance that is provided directly in the question. Okay, so we need to estimate the working capital. So whenever you face the question of working capital, your first step, very simple step. Yes, wages will be paid in the following month. So it is outstanding for a period of 1 month. Whenever you face a question of working capital, your first step is to prepare a format. आंख बंद करके prepare format. खुला रखना, ऐसे ही बोल रहा हूं. Format is current assets. उसमें first is stock. And also under stock, there are 3 types of stock. RM, WIP, FG stock. Correct? Then second component of current assets would be receivables. Third component would be cash and bank balance, which is directly given in the question. There are no prepaid expenses. There is no information on short-term investment. So when I say this would be my total of current assets, which we call it as gross working capital. From gross working capital, we subtract current liabilities. And the major component of current liabilities over here is payables. And another is outstanding wages and overheads. Okay? So the resultant figure is called excess of current assets over current liabilities. We add safety margin if any given in the question. We will add safety margin if any given in the question, and the resultant amount would be net working capital. So this is the first step that you need to do whenever you see a question of working capital. No, not to gross working capital. We add safety margin to excess of current assets over current liabilities. Gross working capital is just the sum of current assets. ग्रॉस वर्किंग कैपिटल में से फर्स्ट यू डिडक्ट करंट लायबिलिटीज फिर ऐड सेफ्टी मार्जिन. गॉट इट. सो फर्स्ट स्टेप इज टू प्रिपेयर द फॉर्मेट बना दिया. नेक्स्ट स्टेप इज टू प्रिपेयर द फॉर्मेट ऑफ कॉस्ट स्टेटमेंट इन वर्किंग नोट. ठीक है. Because our source document for all the above calculation is cost sheet, so we will prepare the format of cost statement under working note. First is my raw material consumption. Second is direct labor. Third is factory overheads. Overheads I am denoting by the term OH. ठीक है. I generally don't write entire terminology. I write in short terminology just to save some time. The resultant amount would be called as cost of production or COGS. Correct? Are there any information on admin and selling overheads given in the question? No, I can just see three things: raw materials, direct wages, and overheads. Unless otherwise specified, all the overheads would be factory overheads or production overheads. Huh? If admin and selling distribution overheads are there, then they would specifically mention about that. So there are no admin and selling overheads, but still to maintain the consistency, let's just write it down. Selling and distribution overheads. The resultant figure will be called as cost of sales. We add profit to it and I will get sales. Correct? Now, my production is 60,000 units. Production and sales is 60,000 units. Correct? This is given in the question. Yes or no? My per unit cost. Can anyone tell me what is my per unit cost of raw material, labor and factory overheads? Can you tell me? What is my per unit cost? Can I say per unit cost is 60% of rupees 5. Raw material per unit is 60% of rupees 5. Selling price is 5 per unit. Uska 60% is raw material ka cost per unit. Yes or no? Yes, RM is 3. So 60% of rupees 5. So it is 3. Direct labor is 10% of rupees 5. So 0.5. And overheads is 20% of rupees 5. So 1. So can I say my total COP, cost of production, would be 3 plus 1, 4, 4.5 per unit. There are no admin overheads. There are no selling overheads. So my cost of sales comes to 4.5. My selling price is rupees 5. So can I say my profit would be 0.5 per unit? Any questions still here? We are just substituting the values that is given in the question. Okay. So my units, annual units are 60,000. Raw material per unit is 3. So my raw material consumed cost annually would be 1,80,000. Correct? Direct labor would be 30,000. Factory overheads would be 60,000. My total cost of production would be 240, 270. Admin 0, selling 0. My cost of sales would be 2,70,000. Profit 30,000. 3 lakh would be my sales. Any doubts still here? Any doubts still here? So we have prepared the cost statement as well. Now our task is that use the cost statement as a source document and try to calculate each line item of working capital. This is our next task. First part of job is done, preparing the cost statement. This is done. Now use this cost statement as a source document to calculate each and every line item of working capital. Correct? How profit is 0.5. देखो वापस. Raw material per unit is 3. Direct labor per unit is 0.5. Factory overheads or production overheads per unit is 1. So total comes to 4.5. Any queries in this? Pranav, any queries in this? 4.5. And selling price is 5. So balancing figure would be my profit, na? Okay. Now, next task is to calculate each and every line item of working capital using the cost statement. Can I say raw material is based on raw material consumption? Yes or no? Would be based on raw material consumption. See, now let's understand what this holding period means. The holding period of raw material is 2 months, correct? Let's understand what this means. It means that entire year my raw material consumption is 1,80,000. Hey, this is for entire year, yes or no? Yes or no? Amount is 180, yes. Raw material consumption is 180. This is for entire year. Now 2 months of holding period means that proportionate to this entire raw material consumption, 2 months, proportionate to 2 months is my stock. Are you getting this? How you interpret that holding period of 2 months? It is nothing but proportionate to the entire year's consumption, proportionate to 2 months of that annual consumption. That is your stock of RM. Are you getting this? This is how you interpret. Proportionate, 2 months proportionate to your entire year's consumption is your RM stock. This is how you interpret. This is how you interpret this line. It means 2 months of your entire year's raw material consumption is your RM ka stock. Are you getting this? 30,000. So this comes to 30,000. Any queries in this, friends? Because interpreting the holding period is very important. 2 months is the holding period. It means proportionate to 2 months of entire year's raw material consumption is my RM stock. Okay? So can I say to calculate RM stock, can I say the formula is nothing but raw material consumed multiply by RM holding period or RM storage period divide by 12? Yes or no? 30,000, sorry, 180, raw material consumed is 180, my storage period is 2 and my denominator would be 12. So proportionate to 2 months of entire consumption, equivalent to 2 months, equivalent value for 2 months is my RM consumption, RM stock, sorry, not RM consumption. But see, working capital, for working capital, we need stock ka amount. We don't need the RM consumption ka amount. RM consumption is a part of your P&L. It will go under manufacturing account and trading account. We are calculating the amount of stock. We are calculating the amount that is blocked in the stock. Are you getting this? So we need the amount of stock, not the RM consumption. So proportionate to 2 months of annual consumption is my RM ka stock. is my amount blocked in RM का stock. This is how you interpret. Understood? So the formula देखो बातों बातों में we framed the formula, we derived the formula or we devised the formula. It is nothing but RM consumption into RM holding period divide by 12. If it is in months, then we will divide it by 12. If you have to calculate in weeks, then we will divide by 52. And if you have to calculate answer in days, then we will divide by 360 or 365 days. समझ रहे हैं? Are you getting this? So 30,000 is my current RM stock. Yes, correct. Kasak's interpretation is absolutely correct. Bolo, any queries here? So can I say it comes to 30,000? So let me not write the formula over here. I will write down the formula under separate slide. So RM stock की formula क्या बन गई? It is nothing but raw material consumed or raw material consumption multiply by RM storage period or RM holding period divide by 12 or 365 if answer is to be calculated in days or 52 if answer is to be calculated in weeks. Okay? So in our question it comes to 30,000. RM stock comes to 30,000. 180 multiplied by 2 by 12. So proportionate to 2 months of consumption is my RM ka stock. It comes to 30,000. Correct? Now next task is to calculate WIP. Can I say WIP is based on cost of production? Yes or no? WIP is always based on cost of production. Correct? So cost of production is nothing but sum of these three costs: raw material, direct labor, and factory overheads. So can I say in WIP there would be some portion of RM, there would be some portion of labor, and there would be some portion of overheads. Yes or no? So how much is the RM? RM is 180, labor is 30, and factory overheads is 60. Yes or no? This the total of these three costs is my cost of production. Yes or no? Any doubts still here? Now, just like we multiplied RM with RM holding period, WIP will be multiplied with WIP holding period. With WIP holding period, which is nothing but 1 month. Which is nothing but 1 month. Sir, 1 month का लिखा है? का mention है? Can I say WIP process will take a time of 1 month? So WIP stock would be there for 1 month. It is in process. Are you getting this? So the formula is to calculate WIP ka stock. The formula is cost of production multiply by WIP holding period and not the RM holding period. Huh? Now we are talking about WIP. So it would be multiplied by WIP holding period divide by 12 months. If it is in days, then 365 and 52 if it is in weeks. But friends, one more thing, very important. We have to multiply this further with percentage completion. Don't forget this. Otherwise, if you forget to multiply this with percentage completion, then there is no difference between WIP and FG. समझ रहे हो? If you don't multiply it with percentage completion, then there is no difference left between FG and WIP because cost of production is same as COGS over here. So don't forget to multiply it with cost of or with percentage completion. Okay? Tell me friends, now tell me, does question provide any percentage completion ka information anywhere? Did they provide that WIP is complete to the extent of 100%, to the extent of 60%, to the extent of 50%? Anywhere did they directly mention? No, correct? No, it is not mentioned. So there is one more standard assumption of this chapter, one more standard general assumption of this chapter, that raw material would be entirely used in production. Means raw material is 100% complete. It is entirely entered into process, and labor and overhead is 50% complete. So only 50% job is done by labor, and other overheads are also 50% complete. In absence of information, these are the standard assumption of percentage completion. Even in your examination, if question does not mention about percentage completion, this will be your standard assumption, 150-50, 150-50. If question specifies that labor has worked 80%, then we will take 80%. If question specifies that overhead is 20% completed, then we will take 20%. But in absence of any information, yes, they have indirectly mentioned that raw materials fed immediately, means entire raw material is now in process. Are you getting this? So it is 100% complete. So in absence of information on percentage completion, your standard assumption would be 150-50. Bolo, any doubts? Any queries? So tell me friends, what would be the amount of WIP? Can I say 180 into 1 by 12? 180 into 1 by 12, 15,000 as far as raw material is concerned. So 15,000 of raw material are in process currently. This is how you interpret. Then labor, 30,000 into 1 by 12 into 50%. Into 50%. So it is 1250. So 1250 amount of labor is in process. 60,000 into 1 by 12 into 50%. So 2,500. Understood everyone? Yes, correct. So this is how you calculate WIP. 18,750, correct. 15 plus 2, 17,500 plus 1250. So our job of calculating WIP stock is also done. Now third part. Third part is FG stock. Can I say FG stock is based on COGS? Yes or no? FG stock is based on COGS. So again, the formula would be COGS for FG stock. The formula would be COGS multiplied by FG holding period. Divide by 12 or 365 or 52. And since it is 100% complete, you write this or you don't write this, answer would be same. Yes or no? You write 100% or you don't write 100%, answer would be same. Getting this friends? So FG is always based on goods sold, COGS, multiply by FG holding period, divide by 12, 365 or 52. Correct? So can I say my COGS is 2,70,000? Can I say my COGS is 2,70,000? And what is my FG holding period? It is 3 months. So proportionate to 3 months is my FG ka stock. This is how you interpret. Proportionate to 3 months of COGS is my FG का stock. 270 into 3 divided by 12. 67,500. If you multiply with 100%, answer again would be same. So if you write 100% or you don't write 100%, answer is same. So 67,500. Any doubts in stock, students? Any doubts till here? We are just calculating the proportionate amount. Raw material is based on raw material consumption. So how much proportion is in RM stock? That we calculated. How much proportion of COGS is FG? That we calculated. So stock part is done. Now receivables. Can I say receivables would be based on sales? Yes or no? But specifically on credit sales? Bolo. Specifically on credit sales? So to calculate receivables, our formula would be net credit sales multiply by average collection period. Average collection period is nothing but the credit period given to our customers. The credit that we provide to our customers. Divide by 12, 365 or 52. Yes or no? Correct. So debtors are always based on sales. So can I say see, does question specify that of the total sales, how much proportion is credit and how much proportion is cash? Does question anywhere mentions that? No, question does not mention how much is credit, how much is cash. So again, you have to assume that entire is credit. Entire is credit. Okay? So my sales is 3 lakh and credit given to my customers is 3 months. Yes or no? Is 3 months. So my amount blocked in debtors would be 3 lakh into 3 divided by 12. 75,000. Friends, are you able to understand? Bolo, any doubt? 75,000. Correct. Cash and bank balance already given in the question. How much cash and bank balance company normally keeps? It is 20,000. So in all the questions, you will get this figure. Cash bank balance they will directly provide. So my gross working capital comes to, you have to just sum up the values of all current assets. 30,000 plus 15,000 plus 1250 plus 2,500 plus 67,500 plus 75,000 plus 20,000. 211,250. Gross working capital comes to 211,250. Okay? So gross working capital, current assets components are done. Now let's target components of current liabilities. Can I say payables? Just like debtors or receivables are based on credit sales, my payables would be based on credit purchases. Yes or no? My payables would be based on credit purchases. So net credit purchases multiply by average payment period or the credit period that supplier gives to us, divide by 12, 365 or 52. Yes or no? This would be my formula to calculate payables. Net credit purchase. Now tell me, what would have we purchased from the creditors? Can I say we would have purchased raw materials? Suppliers से हम raw materials ही खरीदे होंगे. So how much raw materials we would have purchased? It is 1,80,000. ठीक है? It is 1,80,000. So ideally we purchase raw materials from suppliers. So it is 180 multiply by the credit period given by the suppliers. The credit allowed by creditor is 2 months. It is 2 months. So proportionate to 2 months of 180 is my creditors, is my payables. कितना आ रहा है? 30,000. ठीक है, 30,000. Now let's see outstanding wages and overheads. So question says that wages and overheads are paid in the following month, in the next month. So on an average, they are outstanding for a period of 1 month. So can I say my wages amount is how much? It is 30,000. Yes or no? Wages is 30, overheads is 60. So they are outstanding for a period of 1 month. So when I say 30,000 proportionate to 1 month, it is outstanding. And overheads is 60,000 proportionate to 1 month, it is outstanding. कितना आया? 30,000 divided by 12, 2,500. 60,000 divided by 12, 5,000. So this is my current liabilities का total. How? Total is 7,500. So my excess of current assets over current liabilities is how much? Excess of, there is space constraint over here. Oh shit. Payables was 180 into 2 by 12, 30,000. Wages was 30,000 into 1 by 12. Overheads was 60,000 into 1 by 12. So my excess of current assets over current liabilities. Excess of current assets. I am denoting it by the term CA over current liabilities. See, current liabilities is denoted by CL. How much it is coming? Can I say it is nothing but gross working capital minus payables minus outstanding wages and overheads? So my gross working capital is 211, 250 less 30,000 less 7,500. 173, 750. Is there any safety margin given in the question? Anything about safety margin? Nothing. They have not given anything about safety margin. वरना क्वेश्चन में लिखते that the company wishes to maintain a safety margin of 10%. Company wishes to maintain a safety margin of 20%. Since it is not given, it will be nil. So my net working capital required would be 173, 750. बोलो, any doubts, friends? Any doubts, friends? What? RM? Yes, I will, Preeti, I will come to that point as well. There are two methods, two ways to calculate working capital or to estimate working capital. Another method I will come now. Shravani, RM, labor, factory or overheads, how calculated in cost sheet? Simple, na? It is units are just multiplied with respective per unit cost. Unit is 60,000. Per unit labor material cost is 3. So 60,000 into 3, 180. Labor is 0.5 per unit. So 60,000 into 0.5, 30,000. I am coming to that point. There are two ways to calculate estimation of working capital. I am coming to that point. Don't worry. हाँ सबका यही क्वेश्चन है. Right. Debtors is not taken on sales. Yes. I am coming to that point. So this approach, have trust on me. Don't worry. Have little trust on me. I will not teach you anything wrong. The way that we have used, yes, correct. If there is any change, then you need to recalculate everything by incorporating that change. भावना 166 250 आ रहा है. Yes, I am coming. Don't worry, I am coming to that point. I know आपको मिस्टेक दिखती है तो तुरंत ही आप सब जाग जाते हो. It is not a mistake. See, there are two approaches in calculating or in estimating the working capital. The approach that we have followed here is called as total basis or total approach basis. The approach that we have used here is total approach basis. कौन सा approach है? Total basis or total approach. Another basis of estimating working capital. Another basis of estimating working capital is cash cost basis. Focus on the word cash cost. Another basis is, this is total basis. The method that we have followed is total basis. Another approach to estimate the entire working capital is cash cost basis. Now, what is this cash cost? Friends, think logically. Yeah? Think logically. Focus on these two words, cash and just the cost. These are the primary two determinants of this basis, cash and cost. Think logically. Ideally, what business organizations do, they estimate the working capital, they go to the bank for financing purpose of working capital. Now, friends tell me, will bank provide finance for profit? Logically think, जो आपके जेब से गया ही नहीं है, will bank finance that for you? If profit is something over and above cost, is something extra over and above that what you have incurred, so will bank provide finance of profit? They will never provide finance for profit. So can I say they will just finance the cost incurred to the company? जो अपने कंपनी के जेब से जो कॉस्ट गया है, the amount that has been actually incurred from the pocket of the company, bank will finance that only. No bank finances profit for you. They are not dumb to finance profit. एक तो कमाना भी है, profit is something that you earn and you are financing that as well. So no bank finances profit to you. So only cost. First of all, only cost will be financed. Profit will not be financed. Only cost will be financed. Tell me, will bank finance non-cash expense? Will bank finance those expenses which are not paid in cash like depreciation? Tell me, will bank finance that? Obviously not. Yes or no? Obviously not. They will only finance those expenses which have actually been incurred from your pocket. So only cash expense will be financed. Non-cash expenses that which you have not incurred from your pocket, why will bank finance that? Depreciation. Let's say, for example, depreciation. Depreciation is an expense. Depreciation on machinery will fall under production overheads. Are you getting this? Depreciation on machinery. Oh, yeah. Depreciation on machinery will fall part of this production overheads. But bank will never finance that. So when we follow cash cost basis, can I say from this 1 rupee, we have to exclude the amount of depreciation? We have to exclude the amount of production depreciation or factory depreciation. Are you getting this? समझ रहे हो? Factory overheads will include two parts. One is cash cost, or one is those overheads that are incurred in cash, and one is depreciation. So can I say when we follow cash cost basis, we will not include this depreciation, because bank never finance those expenses that have not been incurred in cash. Are you getting this? So let's say, for example, if this 1 rupee per unit includes 0.2 of depreciation, for the time being, let's say 0.2 is of depreciation, then my factory overheads that I need to consider is just 0.8 when I calculate using cash cost basis. समझ रहे हो? We will just consider 0.8 as my cash cost if we are following the method of cash cost basis. Any doubts, students, till here? No, not outstanding expenses. See, outstanding expenses tomorrow we will be paying in cash only, na? Nature you have to see. Nature, which expenses are to be paid now or later in cash. That you have to see. Outstanding expenses tomorrow we will pay in cash. So by nature they are cash cost. Okay? So here, instead of 1 rupee, we will just consider 0.8 if we are following or we are estimating working capital using cash cost basis. Okay? So depreciation will not form part. Similarly, देखो, as I said, bank will never finance you for profit. Yes or no? They will never finance you for profit. So can I say now the debtors would be based on cost of sales? Because if I value debtors on sales, it means bank is financing for profit as well. समझ रहे हो? So in that case, when we follow cash cost basis, your debtors are valued on cost of sales. Are you getting this? Give me an example of notional expense. What do you mean by notional expense? Can you give me an example? See, simple funda is you need to identify, are these expenses to be paid now or later in cash? If yes, that is cash cost. If no, that is not a cash cost. That you need to exclude. ठीक है? Practically, we would be using this method. We will not use total basis. Practically, obviously, we will use this cash cost basis. Why? Because bank will not finance for profit. Bank will not finance for non-cash expense. So this is more practical approach, cash cost basis. This is more practical approach. You only logically think, na, who will finance profit for us? And who will finance for those expenses that we have not incurred or paid in cash? So this is more practical approach. Are you getting this? So in that case, when we follow cash cost basis, debtors will be valued on cost of sales. So when cash cost basis is followed, there are two critical points that you need to note. Depreciation is to be excluded from factory overheads. Depreciation is to be excluded from factory overheads if it is a part of factory overheads. ठीक है. Or in short, depreciation, be it included in admin overheads or be it included in selling overheads, you have to exclude it from your overheads because it is a non-cash expense. Because it is your non-cash expense. Second, profit is also to be ignored. Why? Because no financial institution provides finance for profit. They will not fund you for profit. So it is to be ignored. So it means now your debtors has to be valued on cost of sales, has to be valued on cost of sales. Okay? Because if we value debtors on sales, that means sales includes the element of profit and bank will not finance the amount of profit. So we have to value debtors on cost of sales. So can I say if we had followed cash cost basis for this question, if we had followed cash cost basis for this question, so my amount of debtors would have been, can I say instead of 3 lakh, now I would have been using 270. I would value debtors on 270, multiply by 3 by 12. Yes or no? Because bank will not finance for profit. So can I say 67,500? Correct? So अब आपका आंसर मॉड्यूल के साथ मैच हो गया. Now you are satisfied. Yes or no? Now satisfied. So there are two ways to calculate or to estimate working capital. One is total basis, one is cash cost basis. Now sometimes question will directly specify which method to be used. So use that method. Sometimes question will not directly specify that use cash cost basis or total basis. They will not directly specify, but they will give some hints. Hints like they will give some statements like company is going to the bank for financing its working capital needs. So can I say this is an indirect hint that bank will never finance for profits, bank will never finance for non-cash expense. So indirectly you have to follow cash cost basis. This is an indirect hint from the question. So you have to read the question very, very carefully. Yeah, are you following what I'm trying to say? Sometimes directly they will specify use cash cost basis or use total basis. Sometimes they will not directly specify, but they will give some indirect hints. Like they will give a statement the company is going for funding purpose of its working capital requirement to the financial institution, to the bank. So when I say logically bank will never finance profit, bank will never finance cash cost or a non-cash expense. So in that case, follow cash cost basis. And even if indirect hint is not given in the question, then you are free to use your method. You just need to mention a note on that. Okay? If question does not specifically mentions the way to solve, if indirect hints are not given in the question, then you are free to use your own method. But just mention the note about it. Writing a note will form a very important part. Huh? You just mentioned that estimation of working capital is used on cash cost basis. Similarly, it can be calculated on total basis or vice versa. Okay? But I would always suggest that in absence of information, always follow cash cost basis because that is more practical. Okay? My personal advice is to use cash cost basis because that is more practical and logical. But if you want to use total basis, you are again free to use, but just mention the note about it. Huh? Just mention the note. I am repeating again and again. If you don't mention the note, then you may get wrong in your answer. So mentioning a note is very important. So with this, we completed the first learning objective of estimation of working capital. Now there are many specific pointers under this chapter, but that we will focus when we take respective problems. There are many problems that have unique adjustments, unique factors, but that we can understand only when we take that respective questions. Okay? But overall principle of working capital is this. Overall understanding, overall concept is this. Any doubts? Any doubts still here, friends? So unique pointer, specific pointers, we will see when we deal those questions. Because everything, if we mix up right now, then it will be very confusing to you all. So first learning objective, how to estimate working capital. To estimate working capital, first prepare the format, then prepare cost statement, which will help as a source document, and then just apply these formulas of RM stock, WIP stock, FG stock, receivables, payables, and outstanding expense. Okay? Very simple. Now, let's move to our next topic, which is operating cycle. Percentage unit rates means percentage per unit. That is given in the question ना, वो मैंने मेरे खुद का नहीं बनाया. So how you are asking that how this 3 per unit came? ऐसा पूछ रहे हो? This is your question, that how 3 per unit came? Okay. So can I say my total selling price was 5 per unit? Of this 5 per unit, can you say the expected ratios of cost to selling prices are as follows? It means my raw material cost per unit is 60% of selling price. So this 3 is nothing but 5 multiplied by 60%. Of this selling price of 5 rupees per unit, 60% amounts to raw material cost. So 5 ka 60% is 3. 10% amounts to labor cost. So 5 ka 10% is 0.5. And 5 ka 20% is overheads. So this is how it has been derived from this statement. This is proportion of respective cost to selling price per unit. Understood, Apurva? Okay. Bhavna, if in question specifically not mention of using total basis approach, then use, as I said, you are free to use any approach, but my personal opinion is you use cash cost approach because that is more logical and practical. But by saying this, you still have to mention the note about it. Okay? Writing a note is always being on a safer side. You always mention a note about it. So now let's move to next topic, which is operating cycle or working capital operating cycle. Either you just name it as operating cycle or working capital operating cycle. It is one and the same. Have you heard of this term before? Friends, have you heard of this term before, operating cycle? No, never. Okay. Generally, this is being used by laymen and businessmen. I don't know if your father is into business or not, but many a times my father used to say this word that हमारा पैसा रोलिंग में अटका पड़ा है. रोलिंग में, दिस इज अ हिंदी टर्म. हमारा पैसा, whenever supplier or customer used to call, then my father used to say that अभी फिलहाल फंड्स नहीं है because रोलिंग में अटका पड़ा है. रोलिंग में, have you heard this term rolling? Yes, business cycle. Rolling is nothing but business cycle. Hey, not company accounts. Rotation, yes, correct. Rolling. So a Hindi word or Hindi term we frequently say, businessman frequently says that कि अभी फंड्स अवेलेबल नहीं है क्योंकि सारा फंड्स रोलिंग में अटका पड़ा है. रोलिंग, बाय टर्म रोलिंग दे आर ट्राइंग टू से दैट फंड्स आर ब्लॉक्ड इन ऑपरेटिंग साइकिल. फंड्स आर ब्लॉक्ड इन ऑपरेटिंग साइकिल, बिजनेस साइकिल. ऑपरेटिंग साइकिल का मीनिंग इज इट इज अ प्रोसेस, it is a process of converting cash back into cash. सर क्या बोल रहे हो? It is a process of converting cash back into cash. सर समझ नहीं आ रहा. What are you trying to say? This is the meaning of operating cycle. It is process of converting cash. Today I am incurring cash expense of 100 rupees. Means I am giving 100 rupees to someone. So this 100 rupees, how much time, within how much time I will get back this 100 rupees? That is operating cycle. It is process of converting cash back into cash. This cash is the cash that you pay to your suppliers to buy raw materials. And this cash is the amount that you receive from your customers after selling. Amount received from customers. Are you getting this? The process of converting cash back into cash is operating cycle. Means आज जेब से कैश गया, after how much time I will receive that cash back. That is called duration of operating cycle or operating cycle period. Are you following? आज मैंने जेब से, today I incurred a cash to buy raw materials from supplier. So can I say raw materials will get converted into raw materials, will then get converted into WIP, will then get converted into FG, will then FG will be sold to customers, that is debtors, and they will pay back me the cash. So this entire cycle is called operating cycle. And the time taken to complete this cycle is called operating cycle period. Is everyone following? The time taken to convert cash back into cash is operating cycle period. बोलो, any doubts? Any doubts? आज पैसा जेब से जा रहा है to pay to the suppliers. Within how much time that cash is coming back to me from debtors? That is operating cycle period. ठीक है? Now let's visualize. You just visualize the story with me. ठीक है? We are starting a new manufacturing business, or we are into a manufacturing business already. So I will buy raw materials from suppliers. Yes or no? So today I paid cash to the supplier and I bought raw materials. Yes, correct. You can calculate sales roughly. You can calculate working capital based on operating cycles. We will learn that now. Srini, we are going to learn that now as well. So company uses this operating cycle period and then they are able to roughly calculate the amount of working capital. Even we are going to learn this in this concept. Okay? But as of now, you just visualize that we went at the store of supplier, we bought raw material and we paid cash. So can I say now cash is converted in the form of raw materials? Yes or no? Now, can I say before entering into the process, before throwing this raw material in the production, I will store it for some period of time. So let's say my RM holding period. My RM holding period is 10 days. Is 10 days. So can I say my cash? I can see that it is clearly blocked for 10 days. Today I paid cash to the supplier. It is in the form of raw materials and till 10 days, it is still in the form of raw materials only. So can I say my cash is ideally blocked for 10 days till now? Yes or no? 10 days तक तो मुझे वो पैसा वापस मिलेगा ही नहीं because it is in the form of raw materials. Yes or yes? Yes, absolutely yes. Correct. So now This raw material, after 10 days of holding, I will throw it in the production. Can I say production will also take some time? So let's say my WIP holding period. My WIP holding period is 5 days. Let's say my WIP holding period is 5 days. So again, can I say I can clearly see that till 15 days, I will not get back my cash because आज I paid cash, 10 days it is in the form of raw material, another 5 days it is in the form of WIP. So till now 15 days, it is clear that I will not get my cash back at least for 15 days. Bolo, yes or yes? So my money is blocked for 15 days till now. Yes or no? Now WIP gets completed and my FG is ready. So do you think that once the FG is ready, once finished goods is removed from the machine, customers would be standing in queue outside ready कि आपका production ready हो गया, चलो तुरंत दे दो. Can I say I have to hold that FG for some period of time because customers will not be ready outside standing in the queue. Marketing team has to go in the market, roam in the market and get customer orders. So when I say I have to still hold FG for some period of time before it gets sold to the customers. So let's say my FG holding period is 15 days. Before I sell it to the customer, I hold it for 15 days. So in other words, can I say I can clearly see that till now, 30 days, my money is blocked. Till now, for 30 days, my money is blocked. I will not get that cash back at least for 30 days. Yeah, are you understanding this? Any doubts still here? Once after holding 15 days, I sell it to customers. Can I say as a normal business practice, I have to give certain credit to debtors, to customers as well? They will not pay on the spot. Yes or no? So let's say average collection period or credit period allowed to debtors is 30 days. So can I say I can clearly see that the funds, that the cash that I have incurred today is blocked for 10 days in raw material stock. It is blocked for another 5 days in WIP stock. It is blocked for another 15 days as FG. And it is blocked for another 30 days with customers because they are not paying immediately. So can I say my operating cycle period is 10 plus 5. It is nothing but 10 plus 5 plus 15 plus 30. Yes or no? So my funds are getting blocked for 50 days. So this 50 days is called operating cycle period. Understood? 50 days. 50 days. 60 days. Sorry. 10 plus 5, 15, 30, 60 days. So 2 months. My amount is getting blocked for 2 months. Are you getting this? The cash that I have paid today to buy from supplier is getting blocked for 2 months. It is getting blocked in different forms. For 10 days, it is getting blocked as RM. For 5 days, it is getting blocked as WIP. For another 15 days, it is getting blocked as FG. And for another 30 days, it is getting blocked with the customers. Understood? So this is entire cycle, right from the start till the amount you receive from debtors is called operating cycle. And the duration taken to complete this cycle, duration taken to complete this business cycle or rotation is called as operating cycle period. क्या बोलते हैं उसको? Is called as operating cycle period. Are you getting this? So in my current example, in my current explanation, I have assumed that I have immediately paid the cash to the supplier and I bought the raw materials. I didn't consider any credit period allowed by the supplier. In my current explanation, entire purchase of raw material was on cash basis. But just like we provide credit to our customers, can I say we are also customers of someone? Obviously, they would provide some credit to us as well. So उतना पेमेंट हम लेट करेंगे, yes or no? So we will subtract the average payment period because we will pay our cash later to that extent. We will buy the raw materials today, but we will pay the cash to creditors after certain days. And let's say the credit allowed by supplier is 20 days. So can I say my amount, net amount would be blocked for 60 minus 20 means 40 days? Yes or no? Is everyone following? So this is called as net operating cycle period. And this 60 days is called as gross operating cycle period. It is called as gross operating cycle period. Okay? See, raw materials, I bought it today. Then I entered it into WIP. After raw materials I bought at 0 day. Then after holding for 10 days, I entered it into WIP. Okay? Then WIP process is taking 5 days and it gets converted into FG. Then I held FG for 15 days. And then after 15 days, I sell it to debtors. And debtors make the payment after 30 days. Correct? So this is my payment made by debtors. So can I say my gross working cycle is 10 raw material holding period plus 5 days of WIP holding period plus 15 days of FG holding period plus 30 days of customer credit. But can I say now supplier is giving me credit as well? They are giving us credit as well. Let's say they are giving credit of कितना credit लिया था 20 days. So can I say the raw materials that I bought at day 0 payment would be made over here 20 days के बाद. Are you getting this? Are you getting this? उसका payment 20 दिन बाद होगा. The payment would have been made after 20 days. So can I say my cash payment would have been incurred after 20 days. So 20 से लेके 60 तक देखना है. So my duration, net duration is from 20 till 60. Is everyone understanding? That's why we subtract average payment period or payment or credit period given by suppliers. Because our cash would be blocked after 28 days, not from 0 day. Are you getting this? I would pay cash after 20 days. So my amount is blocked from 20th day to 60th day. So my net operating cycle period is just 40 days. Only for amount is blocked only for 40 days. Is everyone following this? Please respond, sorry. In slide number 20. See, what is average payment period? Average payment period is nothing but credit given by the supplier. Credit given by the supplier. ठीक है? It is nothing but credit given by the supplier. आज at day 0, we will purchase raw material. But our payment would be made after 20 days. Payment to creditors would be made after 20 days. So my cash is going after 20th day. So ideally, my operating cycle should start from 20th day because my payment, see, what is operating cycle? It is process of converting cash back into cash. So you have to see from which point in time you are paying the cash. So it is been paid from 20th day. So that's why we subtract that 20 days from this gross 60 days. That's why we subtract that 20 days from this gross 60 days. Are you getting this? And this gross 60 days has been started from raw material holding period. It is not started from day 20. It has started from day 0. यहाँ से start हो गया. Gross operating cycle has started from this point. Are you getting this? But our payment is done after 20 days. So we have to subtract these 20 days to calculate net operating cycle. We are not receiving the payment for money for 60 days, but आपका money जा रहा कब है? 20th day पे जा रहा है ना? Your outflow of cash is not going from 0 day, it is going from 20th day ना? So वो निकालना पड़ेगा कि नहीं? You have to remove that period or not? So that's why we subtract credit period allowed by the supplier. So in short, my formula for operating cycle period is nothing but RM holding period plus WIP holding period plus FG holding period plus average collection period from debtors and less average payment period. Less average payment period or credit allowed by the suppliers. See, I explained twice. I explained this twice. Raw material, now just visualize again. It is a very simple logic. Let's say again I am going to the store of supplier and I am buying raw material. Okay? This is day 0. Correct? Now before entering into process, I will hold this raw material. So when I say my RM holding period, let's say it is 10 days. Before entering into production, let's say I hold RM for 10 days. Now the process takes another 5 days. So when I say 15 days till now is my operating cycle period till now, till WIP stage. FG is completed, WIP process is completed and FG is generated after 15 days. Now when I say before selling to the customer, I have to store FG for certain period of time. Why? Because customers would not be waiting outside for completion of FG. It will take some time. Marketing team will do research in the market. They will get customer orders. So FG holding period, let's say it is 15 days. So till now, the operating cycle period is 10 plus 5. Till now it is 10 plus 5 plus 15, 30 days. Yes or no? Then I will sell this FG to debtors. They will not pay me immediately. Can I say they will ask for some credit? So let's say they have asked for 30 days credit. So can I say after 60 days, starting from year 0, starting from day 0, after 60 days I will get money? Yes or no? After 60 days I will get money starting from day 0, starting from the day when I purchased the raw material. See, again, I have not made payment for raw material. I have just purchased the raw material. This is purchase date. I have not made the payment. And this is amount received from debtor's date. Amount received from debtor's day. So can I say starting from purchase day till the amount received from debtor, 60 days have been elapsed? Any doubts still here? So this 60 days is nothing but gross operating cycle. It is nothing but gross operating cycle. But our operating cycle starts from the day from which we make the payment of this purchase. ये परचेज का हम जो पेमेंट करेंगे ना, हमारा ऑपरेटिंग साइकिल तब से स्टार्ट होगा. कैन आई से आई एम मेकिंग दिस परचेज का पेमेंट आफ्टर 20 डेज? यस और नो? परचेज ऑन 0 डे, बट उसका पेमेंट हैज हैपेंड ऑन 20th डे. आर यू फॉलोइंग? एनी क्वेरी स्टिल हियर? बोलो. So can I say my amount is blocked between these days, from 20 to 60 days. For this period of time, my amount is blocked. Yes or no? Purchase I did on day 0, but I made the payment on 20 day na. So my amount has been blocked from 20th day, not from day 0. जहां से पेमेंट होगा वहां से अमाउंट इज ब्लॉक. Are you getting this? So when I say 60, gap of 20 and 60 is 40 days, which is nothing but net operating cycle period. Net operating cycle period. Did you follow this? So that's why from this 60 days, we subtract this 20 days, and this 20 days is nothing but average payment period or credit allowed by suppliers. Credit period allowed by suppliers. That's why we subtract that. Understood now? So my amount ideally is blocked for 40 days only. My cash ideally is blocked for 40 days only, not 60 days. Purchase से 60 days है. But ideally my cash is blocked for 40 days only. Hope now you got. Understood? Bolo, any queries? In operating cycle period? Okay, thank you. So now let's understand with the help of an illustration how to calculate operating cycle period. Let's understand with the help of illustration. Okay? Let's say my RM storage period or RM holding period is 15 days. My WIP holding period is not 20 days but 10 days. Okay? My FG holding period is again 10 days. Credit period to customers, credit allowed to debtors is 15 days, and credit allowed by suppliers is, let's say, 10 days. You are asked to calculate gross operating cycle period, and also calculate net operating cycle period. This is part B. Number of cycles in a year. You are also asked to calculate number of cycles in a year, assuming a year of 360 days. Okay? This is the illustration. You are given with all the holding period, with all the storage period, with all the credit periods. You are asked to calculate gross operating cycle, net operating cycle, and number of cycles. So my gross operating period or gross operating cycle is nothing but just the sum of RM holding, RM plus WIP plus FG plus debtors credit period. Yes or no? So it comes to 15 plus 10 plus 10. 15 plus 10, 25 plus 10, 35 plus 15, 50 days. So my gross operating cycle is 50 days. So this gross operating cycle means starting from the day of purchase. till the day of payment received from debtors. ठीक है, starting from the day of purchase, not from the day of payment. This 50 days starts from day of purchase and it ends till the day on which we receive amount from debtors. But we are concerned with the amount from which we have made the payment to the creditors. So net operating cycle period would be 50 days less credit allowed by suppliers. कितना है? 10 days. कितना है? 10 days. So when I say my net operating cycle period is 40 days, yes or no? 40 days. So my amount is blocked for 40 days. Now think logically. Yeah? If I am able to get this finance for 40 days, my job would be done. Why? Because this cycle will repeat. Then after this cycle will go on repeating. Means I have to just arrange the funds for 40 days because my amount is blocked only for 40 days. After 40 days, I will receive from debtors. I will receive money from debtors. Yes or no? Then I will again from that money buy raw material. Again into process FG debtors. I will get money from debtors. I will buy raw materials from that money. So I have to just arrange funds for 40 days. And the cycle repeats after that. Are you getting this? So your working capital need would only be for 40 days ka amount required. Hope you are understanding. Because after 40 days, you will receive the money from debtors and then the cycle repeats. From that money, you will buy raw material, WIP, FG debtors, again amount received from debtors, then you will use that money to buy raw materials. Yes or no? After that cycle repeats. You have to just arrange funds for 40 days. Understood? You have to just arrange funds. You have to just arrange funds of your cost for 40 days. Follow any queries? This is how you interpret operating cycle. C part is number of cycles in a year. Number of cycles in a year. So one cycle takes 40 days. And in a year we have 360 days. So how many cycle of working capital or operating or business cycle would be there in a year? It is nothing but, bolo kitna hoga? Can I say 9 cycles? Yes or no? It is nothing but 360 divided by 40. So in a year, 9 cycles would happen from RM to debtors. पूरा 9 cycle चलेगा. Getting this? So number of cycle is nothing but 360 or 12 or 52 divided by net operating cycle period. Okay, this is the formula. Number of cycles, how do we calculate number of cycle? It is nothing but 360 or 365 or 12 if it is to be calculated in months or 52 if it is to be calculated in weeks divided by net operating cycle period. So ऐसे पूरे साल में this cycle will take place 9 times. ऐसी cycle 9 बार होगी. ठीक है? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. This cycle would repeat 9 times in the entire year. Understood? I just need to arrange funds for 40 days. If I am able to get the funds for 40 days, because amount is getting blocked for 40 days only. After that, I will receive the amount from debtors. I will use that funds to buy raw material. So to start with, I just need funds for 40 days. The amount for which it is getting blocked. The period for which amount is getting blocked. Okay? So today's session we completed estimation part of working capital. We saw what do you mean by operating cycle and what do you mean by operating cycle period. How to calculate operating cycle period. We also understood that as well. And in our next session, we will take this session forward. Any queries in today's session, students? I hope it was a helpful session to you. It created some value. See, all the sessions that you attend, it should create some, or it should add on some value in your life. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice weekend. Thank you. Bye.